everybody, Lynn Forsyth here, and I wanted to share with you a quick little video on how I created these kind of slightly non-traditional Valentine's tags. And really, the whole inspiration for these tags came out of the fact that when I was doing a photo shoot for another project, I had laid out my jar of Bon Glimmer Glam onto my craft surface, taken the photo, and walked away to do the editing and all of that. Well, I came back to find out that the cover had not been screwed on tightly and the entire contents of my bonbon had dumped onto my craft surface. So I pulled out my little handy dandy pipette and started squinching up as much as I could and putting it back into here. But then I had all this left over, so what I did was I took some tags and I just ran the tags through the mess and mopped it all up. So I had quite a plethora of tags that had all this brown background on it. So that is where I got my inspiration for my slightly non-traditional Valentine's tags. Now, the theme of this is we don't cry over spilt paint, we create with it. So that's exactly what we're going to do right now. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of Glimmer Glam cupcake, and I did a little shake of it there, and I'm going to take my little pipette and I'm going to get down into the bottom of it, and I'm just going to squeeze some of the color around my stenciled image that's on my tag. So I guess I really need to back up a minute and explain to you that what I did was I applied Perfect Paints polishing plaster, organic sugar, through the damask stencil from Wow Studio. Some of them I stenciled directly into the center. Other ones, I took my tags and lined them up like this, and I did it like that so that I would have stenciled images on the outside of my tag. So now we're caught up to date here on what I'm doing. So I'm going to get a little bit more of this cupcake, and I'm just going to start dropping that color around there. And next, I'm going to take out my Glimmer Mist, Tattered Angels, Silver Sugar, give it a little spritz vertically so that it'll work, and then I'm going to spritz on my tag with the gray, also known as Silver Sugar. How cool is that? I just love how this all works together. Then I took a little bit of my chalkboard paint, chalk, put a little bit of that in there and let it kind of run with the liquids, the Glimmer Glam and the Glimmer Mist that were already on my tag. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry this. I may use a towel to sop up some of the excess glam and mist and chalkboard that's on there. Dry it from both sides to help it stay a little more flat. Okay, so now that that layer's dry, I've determined that I want to go back in and get a little bit more of the cupcake and put just some more of that in here. And I'm just going to keep adding layers until I am happy with the background that I achieve. So I'm going to alternate between the cupcake, Glimmer Glam, the Silver Sugar Glimmer Mist, and we may even add in a little bit of Precious Metals Glimmer Mist in here. But for right now, we're just going to kind of go with this process and see where it takes us. I have just sprayed on a little bit more of the Precious Metals Glimmer Mist. And I'm starting to get where I am very happy with my color layers. And it's important to dry between layers because when you do that, with the Glimmer Glam, it kind of stops the mixing of the color, so it just works a little bit better to dry it between the layers. All right, so we're gonna try a little bit more of the chalk. Get down there in the bottom, make sure you get some of that chalkiness up. Whoops. And actually, I'm going to spray this with a little bit of water. Oh, look at that. You can, if you get a little bit too much on there, you can always tap off the color that you want to remove. Add a little bit more of the Cupcake Glimmer Glam. One more, kind of spritz that one with water this time. And we'll dry this. And for my last step, I'm going to take a little bit of the Tattered Angels High Impact Paint, and I'm going to get a fan brush, take some of that. I don't need too much. Put it on my craft mat. I'm going to slightly hydrate it with a little bit of water so that it becomes a little more splatterable. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to splatter paint onto my tag. And then we'll dry that, and then we'll set this aside to let this all percolate, and we'll go to the next step. Okay, so for the next step, what I'm going to do is I want to show you how I created the yumminess on the top of the Wow Studio layered hearts. Awesome chippies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the organic sugar polishing plaster that I had used through the stencil on my tag, and I'm going to get a chunk of this out, and I'm going to knead it, and then I'm going to apply the polishing plaster to the heart just like I was kind of icing a cake. And if you'll notice, I'm being kind of chunky with it, and I'm not making it totally flat, but that's just how I want to use it. And then I am going to use one of my all-time new favorite addiction called Prills. And it's this little container of heavenly yumminess, okay? I know I use very weird descriptive words, but the beauty of this is there are all different sizes of these little pieces parts in here. So what I want to do is I want to take my hearts and put them on a plate, and then I'm going to shake some of these Prills onto my hearts, and I'm going to press it into the I'm going to press the Prills into the polishing plaster. Make sure they're good and stuck. And then we'll dry this and move on to our next step. Okay, our hearts are nice and dry. Loving what they look like. I did go look up the definition of the Prills, the description, and it states that they are non-toxic, holeless beads. I don't know, whatever, I absolutely love them. So I'm going to take a little bit of the high impact paint, and I probably should have just left what was on my craft mat, and I'm going to go over top of my little heart, because even though the Prills, which this color is called Third Place, matches the tag that we're working on, right here with that bonbon in the background, I actually want to change their color a little bit. So I'm going to paint on this high impact paint. And I don't mind if some of the copper shows through. I just didn't want it all to show through. Okay, so there we have that. Now we need to dry our hearts. All right, so I thought I was taping, but I wasn't taping. So what I have done is I've taken, now that the white high impact paint is dry, I've taken a little bit of the Cupcake Glimmer Glam, and I've spritzed my hearts with a little bit of the Silver Sugar Glimmer Mist, and I'm going to give them a little extra spritz with the Precious Metals, and then I'm going to dry my hearts. All right, so I have my hearts kind of finishing up drying, but what I had done was I took one of the hearts, laid it on a piece of copy paper, traced around it, and now what I want to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to place it on top of a piece of tissue stock, and this is French script on ivory, and I'm going to cut out 2 tissue stock hearts. All right, so I have those. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Yvonne Blair Designs stamp, and it has one of my favorite sayings that I say to my children all the time, I love you more. And using my archival ink, I'm just going to stamp onto a piece of craft paper. Cut that out. And now we're ready to put our tag together. So we've got our little tissue stock hearts, which of course I can't do anything without crumpling them up. And we're going to place one there. And we'll put the other one there, and we'll take out our jar of multi-medium matte and a round brush. We'll adhere the heart to the tissue stock, and then the tissue stock, maybe if I could pick it up, to the tag. Like that. Then this one is just going to sit all by its little lonesome. Once again, tissue stock to the heart, and adhere it to the tag. Now I am putting a pretty good size wad on the back of these because the texture medium that's on our tag makes it a little bit uneven. And then we're going to take our saying, I love you more. I think I'm going to trim this down just a little bit more. I love you more. Oops, that's upside down. All right, and we'll adhere that to the tag. And there you have my rather non-traditional Valentine's tags. And I just love how when I have done the exact same technique on my tags, that each one of them came out differently. I hope you've enjoyed my little creative adventure. We don't cry over spilt paint, we create with it. I hope you have a very creative day, and thank you for stopping by the Wow Studio blog and checking out my creation.